Hello viewers, Super GT here. Welcome back to some more shenanigans online in Forza 7. I'm going to kick things off early with a nice 45-degree angle drift up the main straight. This is perhaps a result of the new collision system, which seems to throw up some weird and quirky little collisions every now and then. But what it does do is it tends to tidy up the first lap. As you can see already, most of the people are already heading towards turn 2, whereas normally they'll be in the barrier in turn 1. Let's see how this lap progresses through turn 4, getting slightly squeezed onto the curb, but we remain here in 6th place. Is that joke getting old? Maybe. Into the hairpin, bit of contact on the Lambo. We're going to get slid out again. Look at this. And he didn't really fancy backing out at all. I was doing my best to try and turn away from it, but I couldn't quite manage it. So twice we get kind of wiped out there. We're going to go for another attempt here at Sebring. Let's see if we can do an actual clean lap. Starting towards the back of the pack here, 18th as we head into turn number 1. On lap number 1, I'm only going to show the first lap here, the first lap or so, just to see how tidy things are being right now. So you can see there are 3 cars abreast, 4 cars abreast. Normally that would result in all of their deaths, but they somehow stay alive. Of course, the new collision system sort of allows this on lap 1. All the intricate little hits that you normally receive on lap 1, not really resulting in people spinning out or going into the wall, which does promote fairer and cleaner racing beyond the first lap, whereas normally the field spread is absolutely ridiculous and atrocious, and then the racing is pretty much over a lot of the time. So another hit there between the Ferrari and the Jaguar through the hairpin, and some contact between us as we come round towards turn 10. A couple of guys off here, so the system isn't completely infallible. You can still get collisions which will push people off the circuit, so it doesn't solve absolutely everything, of course. So going through this complex, squeezing between the edge of the track and the Jaguar up the inside into 13, and maybe up the inside of another BMW on the exit of 13. We're going to get the job done on the power. Quite a tricky situation. He does back out at the last second. I was holding my breath there, thinking that he was going to turn in alongside. He doesn't. Up into 11th. Good start so far. 18th to 11th. And into the second to last turn. Crucial turn, this one. Carry so much speed if you get it right on the curb. A couple of people off here looking ahead. And the Mercedes just spun out, and he's taken the BMW with him. That's 2 guys off. Up into 8th. Onto the back of the Aston Martin up ahead. We can look up the inside. Although the Aston very good on the brakes. He's able to carry his speed in, much more so than I could. And he keeps his 7th. But that is a good return. I've gained 10 positions on this lap with a speedy Australian all over my tail. JSR Craviator as we come up towards the turn 1. Bit of a helping hand up the inside, and we go up into 7th. That's a good return, from 18th to 7th in pretty much just a lap. Eventually coming home in 4th place. Now I'm going to go for the Jaguar here, and the special configuration on the setup. I've gone for the super low downforce setup. As you can see here, the car essentially wants to take off. That's how little downforce it has, and that's good for overtaking, because you can literally overtake people by going straight over them with this new low downforce setup. Okay then, Monza. Let's see how this goes. Notoriously bad for lap 1, or any lap to be honest. And well, let's see how it goes then with the new collision system. And to be fair, it looks messy. It is messy, but people get round, and we can continue to race. And to be fair, in many ways, Forza did need this to an extent. The fact that almost always everyone would be dying, and you just couldn't have a race beyond the first turn. At least now you can, as you come down into the second chicane, and things are going to get a little bit messy here. Have to kind of bail across the AstroTurf and lose a couple of positions. Julie DT there, flying through up into what is going to be 9th as he goes past both of the Audis, and I've not quite been able to follow him through. I'm up the inside of the other Audi here. Our best friend here was spinning me out of Sebring. Got the job done though, into 11th place. so I can try and pull away from him. The Jaguar very good in a straight line, which is why I picked it from Monza. Looking to the right hand side of the Aston Martin in towards Ascari. He's got the left hand side, which is the inside. I'm going to have the inside for the next part of the chicane and slot into 10th. So the group up ahead, not too far away. We can still gain some more positions into this race. 12 laps to do in total as we fast forward here. The Audi fairly quick in a line actually, as we both kind of home in on the Aston Martin up ahead. Big group developing here, which Dueler GT has managed to get himself to the front of. A couple of little hits in the rear end, but we're through okay. Now this is where our best friend comes to the rescue, our best friend Moses. So just check that out, absolutely beautiful. Moses, what a top lad, and borderline overpowered I would suggest, as I find my way up 4 positions there in very quick succession. Into Ascari, catching up to the back of Dueler DT, who kind of gets hemmed in by this spinning Porsche. Loses plenty of momentum, lots of time, and straight onto the back of him, driving the newer BMW, which I've not quite really explored very much. I did drive it a couple of times when it first came out, but maybe I need to drive that car again. So this is one of the divisions that I really do enjoy in the game. I like to think I've driven most of the cars in this class a fair amount of times, but maybe that BMW does need to be driven again, because it does look like it's very, very quick in a straight line around Monza, the cathedral of speed, of course. When I first drove that BMW, I think I drove around Lime Rock. It's a very good handling car, so it seems as though you can do all of it, depending on the tune, of course. So, onto the back of Dueler DT on lap number 3. You still have the attentions of the Audi behind. DT decided to go left to cover the inside line for the chicane. Bump in the back, pushed him a little bit on, further than I would have liked, and we all kind of reassemble in our positions that we were still in, so no real worries there. We are gaining slowly on the group ahead, so we have a 3-way battle for the lead. You can see them just going into Ascari now, and we are actually slowly reeling them in. And this is the beauty of this division, this hopper, the fact that you can kind of settle into a rhythm, pick up some laps, and then even if the opposition are 5-10 seconds ahead, you can still catch them up. Into the Parabolica, Audi up the inside. I'm going to cut him back on the way out. All we're doing here really is just losing time on each other, and you see Dueler DT now developing a 200 feet gap, and he's well on his way to catching up with the trio in the lead of the race. As we cross the line to begin lap 4, thinking about going defensive, braking at the 150 boards, and the Audi behind on the inside but not close enough to go for the pass. You can just see the orange proximity arrow displaying the position of the car behind, so you don't really always have to look behind. This is a lap later, beginning of lap 5, still in 5th, but we've sort of mingled ourselves in with the top 3 to become a group of 6, and Dueler DT has already found his way up into 3rd, and just looking to go past the battling duo at the front. I know I'm deciding to go left, and I wasn't quite sure where he was going, so make contact with him. Going to the right hand side then into the chicane. Later on the brakes, although he's very late on the brakes, he still manages to hit the apex, and more than the apex on the second part. Into the Lesmo turns, and it looks like Dueler DT has found his way through into the lead of the race. He's done really well here to make progress very quickly through this pack, not really messing about at all, getting the job done at the earliest convenience. And on the exit of Lesmo 2 towards Ascari, you can see the power difference there between myself and the Porsche. Big difference indeed, and I easily go by up into 4th. I can turn my attention forward to the Audi ahead, and then in turn Captain Soda as I go a little bit too deep into Ascari, returning to the circuit, and there's contact up ahead between Captain Solo and Steve Boy, and they're both off of the circuit. It looked like a little bit of an awkward sim twitch maybe from Captain Solo, and Steve Boy just couldn't really go and escape at all, and it ends up kind of pushing him wide, although inadvertently completely. Deep into Parabolica to try to defend my position here. Didn't really work out, and the Audi's going to go back up the inside. up into second, so I'm down to third. You see Julia DT now beginning to open up that gap. Looking around the outside, it's not quite going to happen, so I have to back out into turn 1 and 2 a little bit later in the lap, out of Lesmo 2 this time, running a little bit wide, and I'm going to tuck into that slipstream here, try to utilise the Jaguar's top end speed and low downforce configuration as we come under the tunnel up towards Ascari for the 6th time, up the inside, late on the brakes, got the job done, go a little bit deep, but we've got the job done nicely, and we found ourselves back up into 2nd place. But again, all this fighting is just lending itself to Julia DT to pull away. I'm going to actually cover the inside this time and make sure he can't go up the inside and keep my position. So all this defending, all this fighting, all this overtaking, you're just losing time. It's a suboptimal line every time you go for that defensive line, but if you have to do it, then you have to do it. And again, I'm having to do it into turn 1 at the start of lap 7 to hold off the Audi, and we've done it this time around once again. So we've got a firm message being sent out here that he is not coming through. At the end of the race, finishing 12th, Julia DT just up the road there. Gap remained fairly constant for the second half of the race, and we moved to Catalunya. Now I featured this circuit in a recent GT Sport video. Let's see if we can have a good race on Forza Motorsport 7 this time around in the Audi. So the Audi I was just battling, and I've decided to go for that car. It's not a car I've driven too much. Let's see what it handles like. Let's see how it performs in the Forza GT division. Starting once again towards the tail end of the pack, trying to make as much progress through this grid order as we can, with 12 laps to do it in. Okay then, in toward turn number 4. The BMW ahead, fairly early on the brakes. We're going to sweep around the outside, get that job done, up into 13th. Plenty of cars up ahead, very, very close in order, in attention to each other. Just really trying to make sure we don't get involved in anything silly, especially on this early stage of the race. I suppose an accident early in the race costs you more than it does later in the race, because you lose track position, you lose time, then you lose further time trying to overtake people and defend against other people. Whereas if you do it at the end, then you lose less time, but of course it's never a good time to crash at all. And I suppose it is more likely on lap 1 as well. I'll be inside of the Audi, and then maybe the Dodge, although I don't have to, or it might be the SRT there. It goes very deep on the brakes into the hairpin. I'm up into 10th, and I think I've gained 8 positions. I think I was 18th at the start, or around about that position. So I've gained a fair amount of positions thus far. Coming down towards the chicane of hell, one of the worst chicanes I think. I mean, it's not too bad. It's just, I don't know. I just prefer the old layout from 2006, and before that, the layout where you don't have to do that chicane. It's a much more pleasant circuit in that respect. And well, we're going to go over the line to begin the second lap. A couple of people going into the pit lane already. Up behind another Audi, looking up the inside, but we're not going to really go for the move from that far back. Just trying to scan and analyse a way through. Audi kind of gets caught off guard. I think he was kind of focusing on this battle up ahead between the Jaguar and the BMW, and as a result I kind of take advantage, move up into 9th, and I can try myself to go past this Jaguar as the BMW has done. And he goes very deep into the turn. He's going to come back for that later apex, and I kind of wanted to poke my nose up there, but he wasn't really too keen on that idea. Up the inside though, into turn 5, sorry. Get the job done nicely, and we've slotted our way through up into 8th, so not really losing too much time there, which is always good. You want to make our way up the order, you kind of don't really want to hang about for too long. Yes, it is a 12 lap race, you do have about 20 minutes, but if you hang about for one lap too many, that could lose you a couple of seconds, which by the end of the race with the results could really give you a massive deficit, which you don't really want. You want to save as much time as possible, of course. Into the hairpin, hooked up nicely. The Audi actually really nice handling. It is a little bit stiff. The corner, you really notice that around is turn 3, and maybe even this turn here, as it's a really long corner. You have to be really patient and time that throttle to perfection. The car really wants to straighten itself up as soon as you get on that throttle. Therefore, you have to really time it very, very well. Sitting here then in 8th, through the final turn. Nice group up ahead. In fact, the race hasn't really spread out too much, and in fact, I think this is the main upside of the new collision system for me. The fact that the race kind of stays quite close as a result of not many people crashing on lap 1. Into the pit lane go 2 guys up ahead. Therefore, I jump up to my favourite position, and a couple of laps later, where the race really kind of hotted up a little bit more, because it went kind of stale for a couple of laps. We were kind of all lapping equally. Up into second, so courtesy really of other people pitting, and the leader is actually quite a long way ahead at this point, 2,000 feet ahead near enough. And this is lap number, where are we? Lap number 8. This is where things are going to slightly hot up now. Of course, I don't really have anyone to race directly in front of me, but I probably will go into the pit lane at the end of this lap, and then I will kind of be reunited with my racing buddies who I was racing before they pitted. I do have close attention behind from a Viper. I do have some sort of direct race at this point here. Try not to really focus on that too much though. I do have a margin, 100 or 200 feet. There's not much point at this point here in really worrying about that and defending, because by defending here I'm only really costing myself against the other people, my racing buddies who I will be reunited with, as I say. A little bit deep on the exit of 9. In fact, I would have lost time there. It does look like you're extending, but the reality is overall you would have lost time from doing that, as I backed off the throttle as well. Into the hairpin, the car just hooked up so nicely, no real drama to report. The car just really reacting the way I'd really like it to, and really quite easy to drive. It does maybe need a bit of tweaking with some of the longer corners, but overall a fairly decent car, which I am enjoying racing here. Up behind a couple of back markers here. This is always a good opportunity to dive into the pit lane. Not sure what this Viper's doing. I think he might have bailed out at the last second there. Actually looking behind, the Viper who was following me on that lap kind of gets hemmed in behind the two of them, loses tons of time. And here is the battle reunited into turn 1, slotting in just behind the pair of Jaguars and just in front of a Porsche. So I found myself in the middle here of a 4-way battle for 4th. In fact, the Jaguar in 4th, going defensive into hairpin. I don't think he quite had to do it from that distance. He was quite far ahead. He would have taken a savage Danny Rick lunge to really take that position off him, but he decides to go defensive, as he is fully entitled to do, and then sweeping right in towards the final chicane, braking just under that gantry. There's a nice big gantry up ahead, or sort of up above, and you can kind of just use that as a barometer for your brakes as you pass under that. Good time to get on the brakes, and it kind of worked. Bit of glitching going on there. You may well have seen that going on in the Gran Turismo videos. Gran Turismo is kind of plagued by these weird shuffling Catalunya. The Catalunya shuffle has kind of found its way into Forza 7 as well. I guess it's quite contagious, that disease, and once it manifests itself in one game, you'll find it in another game too. Luckily, it's not really going on too much. So the guy behind, very close in attendance, doing the Catalunya shuffle through the final turn. I'm going to try to hold him off, and this is always a good situation to be in. Well, it's not good, but it's perhaps good for you as a viewer to watch, as I have to try to attack and defend at the same time. It's quite a tricky situation to deal with. Of course, you do want to attack mainly, but you don't want to lose your position at the same time. Sometimes if you go for a move and you don't really pull it off right, you'll lose one rather than gain one. So you do really have to be very careful in this situation here. Very easy to lose out when you wanted to be gaining. Up the hill through 9. I tried to hook up for that late apex. Do miss the curve by quite a way. Well, we got through there okay. Is the green Jag going to defend? He is again. Not taking quite the racing line. He goes very deep though. He's definitely very aware of the drivers behind him, and he's going to lose a position as a result of going deep into the hairpin. Again, I don't think he really had to go defensive. Went a little bit narrow, even though the Jaguar behind fairly matched on the brakes and quite a long way back. But you know, that's something maybe you can learn. This is something I've always learned as well from watching my own races. You can always learn the things you did wrong. Go, oh, actually, I defended when I really shouldn't have done, or I shouldn't have attacked there, or I should have blocked a little bit differently, or should have pitted on a different lap. I suppose that is one beauty of being able to record your races and look over them again. Into turn 1, the Grey Jaguar not having the best top end, and he has to go defensive, and to be fair to him, that was a lot closer than when the Green Jaguar went defensive at turn 10. And that's something to take note of. The Grey Jaguar doesn't have great top end on that main straight. I'll say the main straight is the best overtaking opportunity on the Catalunya lap. So that is something to potentially take advantage of as we make contact with the Green Jag. Coming through the right of 4 into 5, slotting towards the left, up the inside we go. Tiny bit of contact on the way through. We've got the job done though, up into 5th. He seemed to hesitate a little bit on that lap and the lap before. I wasn't quite sure if he was really going to go for another attack or just turn completely defensive. I think he was going to go defensive for the rest of the race. I wanted to get the job done, and I got it done, albeit with a bit of contact, but nothing too sinister as we find our way through. Up into 5th with just over a lap left to go. Can we go about getting this 4th position? And that would kind of mark a nice result here, given especially that we started very much towards the back of the pack. Okay, through the long right, patient on the throttle, waiting for it. There we go, running our way out. BMW on the right hand side, slowing right down, getting out of the way, I guess. Or he's just resting from doing the Catalunya shuffle. Through the chicane, we've done it nicely. Okay, we're in a good position here. Can we take advantage of the superior top end that we have? The Jaguar is slightly putting away, 84 for 85, 86, 87. It peaked at 87, now we're gaining down to 80, down to 70. Looking up the inside, we're still 50 feet behind. I'm going to go for the move. Danny Rick dive bomb up the inside, gaining 4th initially, but he's going to come back on the way out. I kind of had to go deep, that's the only way I could have made it work. But didn't quite work out for me. We are still right on his tail though, there's still potential here to gain this position back. He goes defensive again. It's not really a place I would go for a lunge, although perhaps that move into turn 1 kind of sent him a warning that I am a lungy guy, and that may well go for a lunge at any point. And he decides to cover it off there into turn 4, not through turn 5. He's okay through there. He's got the gap here, near enough 100 feet. No need to go defensive, and he doesn't. Through the turn, up the hill towards 9. We've got a 200 feet gap to the other Jaguar behind. Don't really have to worry about that now. It's really a fight for 4th place, and you can see he's just opened up a nice margin, 100 feet. He does not need to go defensive, and he doesn't. I'm not going to go for a dive bomb from that far back, as we go through the hairpin with just 1 sector left to go. I don't think there's really much scope for an overtaking opportunity unless we can get something into the chicane. If he makes a mistake as well, just really try to get as close to him as possible. In fact, we're very close here. The move is potentially on, and I just get a slide at the wrong moment. Can we potentially get away with a move coming out? No, we can't. And it's going to be a 5th place overall. But to be fair, it was a really enjoyable race. Really good respect between the drivers there. We're going to come through to finish 5th. And overall, not too unhappy with that, especially as we started right at the back. And there are the results. Very, very speedy driver there, TX3 Shelby, with a 46.2 clean, a second and a half faster. But that's it. I do hope you enjoyed the video as always, guys. Let me know your thoughts. Thank you for 150,000 subscribers. Absolutely mental. We got 100,000 about 2 months ago and already on 150. That is absolutely staggering. But thank you so much as always. I shall see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.